What's up, guys? Welcome back to another MFF episode. Today we're going to be doing some conventional fishing for high numbers muskies. I got some baits in my setup I want to go over later, but let's for now get straight into the action. Hope you guys enjoy. So my audio clips got a little jacked up with the GoPro, which is no big deal. I'll just do a little narrating here. This fish hit with the lure 8 feet out, just smoked it, just to right where about you could see it, and then just dogged me. Sitting about 30 feet of water, casting up to shore on this really steep, rocky shelf that always seems to hold fish early/mid-morning and then kind of later in the afternoon. And it's always been a productive shoreline. You always move fish on it, and this day it did, and I hooked a fish within an hour of being there. It was nice to get the skunk off the board. Wasn't a huge fish, actually the smallest fish of the day, but very dark to what I'm used to in this lake. Usually they're a lot clearer looking, and this fish more had that stained Wisconsin look to it. And then here's the release of it. It was about here's me showing it. It was about a 32-incher, 33, but still really, really fun fish. And I'll get to my tackle later on, which made it even funner when using light tackle for muskies. And yeah, kicked off like a tank. So no more than a half hour later, still working that same shoreline. There's a little cut where it opens up to a rice bay, and boom, same thing about halfway back. Just got smoked. This fish T-boned the beaver, and it was going angry. Had a little trouble getting the net out. My dad had just laid a fly cast out. As you guys know who fly fish, it's a pain to reel that line all the way back up as soon as you let it out. But he eventually got to the net, and we got this fish in. This was the longest fish of the day. I think this was about 37 inches. Real long and skinny, had a big mean head on it, but just a beautiful fish. I think the colors on this one were gorgeous. You can see it has some cool markings and kicked off strong just like we want them to. So awesome fish, and can't complain. That was a nice little follow-up to that first fish. Just a gorgeous muskie on the baby beaver. Gorgeous fish. There she goes. There's a fish. Net. He's not big, I don't think. But net. Oh, he's nice. He's nice. Right here. Yeah, you always are Mr. I know you're always Mr. Right here. I'm gonna bird him in. He's a nice fish. I'm gonna bird him in for you. Just wait. I'll tell you when. I'll tell you when. Right here. Right here. Get up. Right here. Yep. Perfect. Good job. Another nice fish. The audio got jacked up on the big camera due to the wind. It was really windy today, but it had the fish munching. And this was about another 37-incher. It just seemed a little smaller than the other one, even though it measured to be about the same, smaller head. But this was actually not off a rocky shoreline. This was the first and only fish of the day that was caught in a weed bed. Pretty shallow and about, I would say, about 8 feet of water with 4-foot weeds in there. So just reeling my beaver over the surface, and it smoked it way out. And then this fourth fish here, unfortunately, the GoPro, I thought it was rolling. It literally died right before this fish. It came up and I did 1-8 and smoked it on the outside. It was super fun. I free schooled it down and then fought it back up. A little bit longer than that first fish, about 33, 34. But just beautiful colors on it. Nice little whistle fish right at the end of the day. Was working a last spot. Didn't really think I was going to pull anything off, and haven't had a ton of eats on, but I've had a lot of follows and just always have seen finickier fish in there. So gear setup wise, while fishing these muskies, I know this lake doesn't really have a ton of huge fish. I actually hooked into like a 42, 43 incher. Seen a few big ones, but I'm willing to risk having to fight one of those fish on lighter tackle to have fun. So I used a size 200 Corrado. I didn't know this till now that they made a size 300. So eventually I want to upgrade for a light muskie setup. But I do really like the 200 Corrado. Any size 200 reel will do work. If not more, I would probably recommend. And I only run about 50-pound tests because I just know these fish on average aren't that big. And I do like to fight them. I mean, would you maybe pour some in better with another rod? But I have yet to really lose a fish on this lake. I've lost them, on the hook set, but not after I've hooked them for a long time. So I do really like fighting them on the light rod. And this is just a Daiwa swim bait rod, bass rod. I mean, it's still really thick. It's a medium heavy, 8 foot. Though I would opt for maybe just a little bit heavier and longer just so you can get better figure eights even on smaller fish. But with a smaller fish, they're not like a big 50-incher that takes forever to turn and you need big wide figure eights. And the guys are using these 9'6" rods, which I have behind me for when I'm using them doing a lot of big muskie. But for this lake with small fish, I really enjoy it, like a lighter bass swim bait rod. It's super fun and it gets the job done. And I did catch the final fish you'll see here, which I didn't get the GoPro, but that was in the 8 and it did the job. So baits wise, I like to downsize a lot. I'll show you it again here in another clip, but this is what I caught all my fish on that day, was a baby beaver in a smalleye color. I like to match the natural forage. There's a lot of smallies in this lake and the fish take advantage of them. And I just did really good with a mini beaver. I did have the weight on though, especially when I'm fishing those drops. It's nice to have the screw and weight. I don't have it on it now, but that's another one I use. And I did move a lot of fish and did get a hookup on a Angry Dragon. I like this a lot. I use this on all sorts of lakes. It's one of my favorite early season patterns, and it just moves a lot of water with the chatter. It is a little bit of a pain to work. It does put a bend in the rod, but it's really a productive bait, I feel like. And it's just that perfect size for number lakes. I mean, it's not super big. It still gives off a lot of action, but that profile is super skinny and not super long. I mean, it's under a foot, under 10 inches. So smaller fish will still hit it. And yeah, I know that sounds opposite of muskie fishing, but that will get me into my next thing about how numbers lakes I think are a great resource for beginning muskie anglers. Me myself, I am no expert in muskies. I've only caught a few fish over 40 inches. A very aspiring angler, but that does bring up the fact that I still do enjoy these number lakes. It's what got me into muskie fishing. It taught me how to figure eight fish. I'm still learning, but it got me just the basic steps. So that's kind of my one key takeaway from this video is, to a lot of guys that maybe have experienced a lot of muskie fishing or gotten to Canada, catching these 30 inchers may seem like nothing. But to people out there that want to get into muskie fishing, it's super exciting. A 30-inch fish is still these are still 3 foot long fish. They're still big fish in my eyes. It's still 12, on the heavy end, 15-pound fish. And they're still muskies. You still learn how they eat. You still learn how they behave, just at a higher rate so you can get more reps in practice. So I think it's a great resource, these high number lakes that are in the Northwoods areas all over Wisconsin, Minnesota, Michigan, river systems the same way where, there's a lot of fish, there's not a lot of big ones, but because of that, it's great for beginner anglers to get their foot in the door and actually learn how to catch muskies. Video, I hope the tips and recommendations for new muskie anglers help, and for experienced anglers, I hope you enjoyed a new muskie angler getting into the sport and having a fun day and catching 4 fish, and I really appreciate it. For those people looking for the fly content, I'm going to have some fly fishing for bass and maybe do a little Northwoods trout video. We'll see if I get the bite right for that. So don't worry, plenty of other fly fishing content on the way. Just had some of this musky fish stuff saved up. So remember to like and subscribe for new videos. And if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, drop them down below and let me know. Thank you guys so much for watching, and tight lines this summer.